All right, guys.
Would you did you get out of this what you were expecting to?
Yeah, I think we really did. And I don't look at it as just today. I think the collective whole, your 15 practices and, honestly, I think you've seen great growth from our football team. And, the one thing I really appreciate about, our group, I thought our coaches, from everybody in the organization, the goals we had set out in January to kind of grow ourselves forward, you've really seen that happen, through the first 8 weeks of January and February to really all spring practice. So, I think a collective win for our program from our coaches and our players. And I thought today you came out, you saw a team that was fairly disciplined, did a really good job in, tackling the football, running the football, some of the things we really kind of set out to do. And I think there's been great growth in those areas.
Jairell carried more than I thought he would. I mean,
yeah, he's been healthy, through about the midway point of the spring. And, it was him and Eli and obviously, A.J. Harris finally got himself healthy, got to practice the last couple of weeks of the spring. So, that's been positive for those guys.
For Jairell, there's a difference between being healthy and then being 100%. And there was a couple runs there where he looked like he was, at 100%.
Yeah, and I think it was a collective, growth process through the spring. But I really felt like the last week and a half, we had about 120 plays last Saturday, and he really carried the ball well there as well. So, I think it gives him a lot of confidence. And as we've talked about, you saw a healthy Jairell Brock the first 4 games of the season last year, and then you didn't see that guy. So I think that's big for our football program. And, again, I think that's a positive for us. Holistically, we'll come back in May and, really have the ability to be 100% healthy across the board. There was no surgeries through the spring. There's no post-spring surgeries. So I think that's really big for us, too, to be a healthy football team.
I think Jalen was the guy today we didn't know that wasn't going to practice with.
Yeah, Jalen just had a tight hamstring. We just tried to be smart. But honestly, Jalen had a really good spring. I think it was more of a decision to make sure he was in a positive going into really starting next week. I think he'd be 100%.
And you talked about the tight ends a lot on Thursday and basically looked the part.
Yeah.
Part of the offense.
Yeah, you didn't have Hanukkah out there, and so, I think you saw those guys keep growing. I think all those guys I talked about on Thursday made a play today that was, pretty impressive. The play Gabe Merkel made down there, great play. Those young pups, remember, they're young puppies. They were young pups a year ago. You lose Kolar and Allen, and, you asked a lot of Easton, who was never healthy last year, and, you saw Deshaun come on, and now you got this emergence of some of these really young guys. I think that's a position when we're good here. That group's been really positive for us, and I think we'll have a chance to be that come September.
Was this a good day for JJ?
Oh, man, all those guys. I thought Hunter had a really good day. I thought Rocco did some great things. You see JJ. For a kid that's supposed to be getting ready for prom to be out here, honestly, playing football and getting live experience, I think it's huge. And I think JJ's done a great job growing, to be quite honest with you, all spring as well.
What do you think of the Jack Trice uniforms?
Oh, I think they're awesome. I think that, what a powerful story we have the ability to continue to tell the country. And I think, this is, obviously what he's meant to this university and the trailblazing demeanor that he's given so many of our kids an opportunity to succeed. It's a huge story. It's a powerful story. And, obviously all season we'll have the ability to tell the Jack Trice story, not only to Iowa, but to the entire country.
You've talked repeatedly about growth this spring, and that's kind of part of your overall process. How would you characterize the growth of these 15 practices?
Yeah, I think it's when you're young, you grow forward, and I think, you saw it as a team a year ago, and I don't think we've stopped. I only think we've accelerated it since January. And when you are young, the nice thing as coaches is you can see that, you can personally see the growth happening. And I think even today there was a lot of real positive growth forward. And believe me, the growth process isn't done. There's a lot of work to do. We're going to have a great summer. We're going to have a phenomenal fall camp. And, the challenges aren't getting any easier from the first game of the season. A really great UNI team coming in here. And, they've been a great challenge and a great opponent to us. So, they've got 12 opponents, and they're all got great talent, all great players. And we're going to have to continue to grow forward to be ready for the challenges coming.
What jumped out at you defensively?
I thought I thought we tackled fairly well. There was, we were mix and matching some of the thud tempo and some of those 2-minute drills, but I thought we tackled well. You see us continue to be able to run and be physical. I do think we're as fast as we've been across the defensive, across the defense in general. And I think you saw that a little bit. And man, those guys were running and striking and playing good football. So, and again, that group's got a lot of guys that were limited at times today too. So it's going to be fun to see where that group and youth, other than the secondary, youth everywhere else. And I think it's going to be really fun to see what that group becomes here through the next couple months.
What'd you see from your offense and Nate working together?
Yeah, I just and again equally, and I know we asked. It was a great question. Pre-spring is, man, as much as it is for the kids, it's there's 3 new coaches on the offensive side, and just the communication and the operation. And I thought Nate has done a phenomenal job. It's obviously great to have Coach Mauser and him that have been staples in what we've done and how we've done what we've done, and then having new ideas and new people in here. And I think that group really worked well together and has continued to grow. And I think they'll only continue to grow forward as well. So it'll be a huge fall camp and a huge early part of the season for them as well.
What's the process for rolling these 15 practices into the summer and into the fall and keeping momentum and keeping the growth?
Yeah, when we've been at our best, I feel like we've mastered that. And when we're doing really well, you got to take the humility of what did we do well through 15 practices individually. And where are your gaps? I think we'll look at that from a schematic standpoint. Where do we need to be better? And then each individual, starting on Monday, we're going to meet with every kid in our program. Where you at? What do you need to do well? How do you move forward? We'll finish with exams, and then we'll come back here at the end of May, and we're going to have to attack it no different than we did in January or February, obviously. And so there's a lot of work to do, and now it becomes personal growth that has to happen until we get back together in August as a football team.